What's going on, everybody? Tobin here, 5M Family Homestead channel. Today's video is going to be a taxidermy video. That's not for you. We got a lot of other videos on our channel that might interest you. But we do have a taxidermy business and we have a lot of videos, and I wanted to make a quick video on just some commonly asked questions that we get. Before I get started, I want to give y'all some context. If you're not familiar, if we're new to you, I want to give you some context as to why I'm putting this video out. So we've been doing skull mounts as a side business, as a side hustle for about 8 years now. The last 4 years, 5 years, we've really cranked things up. We're putting out somewhere around 450, 500 skulls a year. And we've put out a lot of videos, get a lot of questions through social media. We have a big presence on social media, a big presence in this industry, I guess. And so we get a lot of questions, people asking a lot of things. And most of the questions are already answered in our videos, but sometimes people don't have the time to wade through all the videos to get the answers that they're looking for. So I wanted to just hit some of the things. We boil, simmer, what do you want to call it, and power wash our heads, 90% of them. Some of the heads, we will macerate them. The ones in this bucket right here are gonna get macerated. But the majority of what we do is boil. One of the first questions I get asked a lot is, do you actually boil the heads? Do you boil them? Yes, we do. We will boil them. It's not a full-blown rolling boil, but it's a little bit above a simmer. And that's how we do them. Typically the heads have set in water for about a week. We kind of do a little bit of a maceration process for about a week, and then on every head, and then then we boil them. Some of them we do a full-blown maceration where it completely rots everything off, but the majority of them, like I said, we don't. I'm gonna take you out here. We got about 30 heads right now that are outside boiling right now. I'm going to show y'all what it looks like. Another very common question we get is, how do we whiten? And we have older videos on our older process where we actually use liquid developer, and we do not do that anymore with whitetails and deer. We use this right here. Focus. That's cream, salon cream, and then we actually use this right here, which activates it. You can get both of those at the beauty supply store. That's how we do it now. We will boil, power wash the heads today, and then probably today or at the end of the day or tomorrow, we will whiten them. We make about, I think my wife puts like 3 parts of the cream to 6 parts of the powder, mixes it, paints it on the skull, leaves it on there for a day or two. They turn bright white. It's a lot easier and faster for us doing as many heads as we do. Having to wrap the bases of the horns like we used to with our old system was for the birds. It took too long. Another very common question we get is, where do you order your plaques from? We order all of our plaques, 100% of them, from one company. I do not make any money from them. I just don't mind giving people sending them to somebody that does good business, and we've had a great relationship with this company, and that company is called the Taxidermist Wood Shop. They have a ton of plaques to choose from, colors, styles, all kinds of stuff. This is a box that we just got in yesterday of plaques from them. I'll show y'all. Package really nice. I can tell you that's a mesquite wood plaque there, cedar. That's a medium oak. It comes with, it'll come with all the hardware you need to mount it, to mount the head on there, to hang on the wall, all that kind of stuff. The Taxidermist Wood Shop. Google it, go check them out. Like I said, we don't make anything from them, just we get asked that question a lot. These are solid, hardwood plaques. They're not like the fiberboard in the middle and stuff. They're 100% solid wood, good quality. Don't use the cheap crap. Use those are good. Another question I get very commonly is about guys wanting to start their own side business like what we have, and just how do we do it? How do we do it on the scale that we do it on, etc. I can tell you there's guys across the country that do way more than we do. I'm friends with a few of them through social media, and we are by far not one of the biggest companies that does this. There's guys that do thousands a year. I would love to get to that point at some time, but how we do it, we do hire help. My wife does not have a job, so this, like, other than she takes care of our kids and our house, and she stays home with our kids. That's her full-time job. But this time of year, during this season, she also does this full-time. She checks people in, the whole, helps whiten, does the whole shebang. So we do have a couple people that we hire to help us 1 or 2 days a week. Our kids were out here. We skinned 50-something deer heads yesterday. And my 2 boys were out here. They're 11 and 13. They were out here, and we knocked those heads out, and we skinned like 50 heads in 2 hours because we had them helping. So I would, my biggest recommendation on how we do this is just being efficient. I'm not great at a lot of things, but I'm very good at being efficient. And we just, like I said, we got 30 heads going out there now. We'll probably start some more going once we get some of these power washed, hiring help. Just doing things quicker, like I was telling you with our whitening process earlier, finding a way to speed that up, finding a way to skin deer heads. If you're skinning a deer head and it's taking you 30-40 minutes to skin a deer head, that's way too long. Speed that up, look for ways to do it faster. I wish I could show y'all a video. YouTube and Facebook will surely take it down, but I wish I could show y'all a video on how to skin a deer head, because I can show you how to do it much quicker. Just things like that. Being efficient, speeding things up. The less you have to move heads around. We have a very small shop, so we find ourselves moving deer heads that are, different stages of being worked on, and having to move them from here to there and here to there. And at some point, I'd like to have a very big shop where we don't have to do that, and that does eat up some of our time. But get more pots, get more burners, get a power washer. If you don't have a power washer, get a power washer at 2,000 psi or less. And even if you're macerating heads, a power washer comes in very handy to knock all the gunk off there, all the nastiness off, all the meat and everything. It's so much quicker. So that's another thing that very much will speed things up for you. It's kind of a vague answer, but I hope that helps y'all a little bit and kind of gives y'all some ideas. All right, one more. I kind of touched on this earlier, but I want to circle back to it. We have a lot of people ask, like guys asking about skinning a deer head. Like, if you're going to skin it today, but you can't work on it for a couple days, you can't boil it or do something to it for a couple days. Like, should you skin it and then freeze it? What should you do? We have a freezer right here, and very rarely does a new head that we get in go in that freezer. Typically, they sit here in the shop for a day or two until we can skin them, and then they go into water. I don't like freezing deer heads, and especially don't freeze them with them being skinned. And don't let them sit out and get dry after they've been skinned. What happens is the blood from that head, for whatever reason, goes into the bone when that happens. It won't do it it will do it if it just sits there with the skin on, but it takes a lot longer. Once you skin it, like instantaneously, it starts to dry out, and that blood goes into the bone. It will make it harder to whiten. You may not be able to get it as white, etc. So what we do is we skin them, and we kind of have a weekly process of like each day we do the same thing throughout the week. But we will skin them and put them in a bucket of water for 1 week. I'll go out here to my little shed next door. That's our overflow shed, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, y'all, like I was telling y'all, this is our little overflow shed right here. We outgrew this setup 2 years ago, but we're just reluctant to build something here more, bigger and permanent just yet. We're gonna have to eventually. But these are all the heads I told y'all we skinned yesterday. So you can see some of these are already, the water's kind of turning red. And what's happening is that water is pulling that blood out of the meat, and it's starting to macerate. Very, very early on, but it is starting to macerate. These heads that I have boiling here were in these buckets I'm about to show you. All right, came back inside so you can hear me better. So those heads that are boiling right now were in those buckets for about a week, and as you can tell, that water is very red, and they stunk pretty good this morning. Not the worst I've ever had, but they were starting to stink, which means they were starting to break down, and they will boil and power wash easier that way, much easier. So don't ever let a head dry out. Don't ever skin a head and leave it out in the air or put it in a deep freeze. If you skin the head, put it in a bucket of water, leave it there, it will just help things as you go. You can leave it there for a week, a month, however long, and just the longer you leave it in there, the less time you're going to have to boil it. So be very careful. If it's been in there a month, it's not going to take a lot of boiling to get all that meat off there, and you can over boil it. So be careful with that. All right, guys, last frequently asked question for this video. We have a lot of people asking me about keeping track of deer heads and how we tag them and how we keep track of them. Let me show you what we do. So we have certain color tags for our customers. We have certain color tags for the wild game processor that we work for, so it's easy to differentiate those. Our tags are yellow. These right here are a little bit heavier duty. These right here are not quite. But we got both of those off of Amazon. I'm not going to tell you exact ones we bought. Just go on there and look, find some that you like. But just get a good, those are plastic tags, and you can write on them with a Sharpie, and they can be macerated, boiled, whatever, and the tags, if you get the good ones, will not break or fall apart, and the Sharpie won't smudge. You'll be able to see the name on there till the very end. We have, by state law, we have paperwork right here that our customers fill out. That first page is actually we have a little disclaimer, a little liability waiver, and then we have the paperwork from the state, which is right there. And once they fill that out, we just put their name, phone number on a tag, put it on a zip tie on it, and zip tie it on the deer. By law in Texas, it could be different where you're at. By the law in Texas, if a game warden comes and says, whose deer is that deer right there, I have to be able to tell them who and then link it back to the paperwork. So having their name and phone number on there, I can easily look at the tag, go back through our paperwork, here you go, and they can have it. We don't have much run in with the game warden. He stops by every now and then, and we are very organized with our paperwork and our tagging system, and they don't really worry much about that. They want to come by to stop and talk and stuff. So but yeah, get those tags on Amazon. Just Google, plastic tags or something like that, or search plastic tags on Amazon, and you'll be able to find them on there. All right, y'all, hope this helps y'all. I feel like I hit some of the most commonly asked questions. I'm sure I missed a few, but if I did, if you got a question, leave in the comments. A lot of times I get really vague questions, and like I said, just how do you do this, so how do you do it on such a big scale and things like that. It's a very complex answer that I can't just answer somebody through Messenger or something. So a lot of times in the past, I'll make one video on a specific topic, like how do you whiten heads, and I'll make a video on that. How do you, et cetera, et cetera. I've got videos on the tools, some of the better tools I use, some of the tools that would be good for you to have. I've got videos on how my recommendations if you do want to start up a business, on how to do that, and things that make it easier for you. I don't know everything, but I don't mind sharing what I do know. Go on YouTube, go to our main page, and then go to the playlist tab, and then there's a taxidermy playlist, and almost all of my taxidermy videos will be under that playlist, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. Go through it and try to, if this is something you want to do, I highly recommend doing that. And there's some other guys out there too that are putting out good videos, good content. Whitebone Creations he's a good one. There's some other guys. I wish these other guys across the country that do this on a big scale would start making some videos, because they've got there's some guys that do it a lot different than I do, and are very successful for it, with it. But this is how we do it. We've adapted and made it work for us, and this is how we do it. And there's definitely Other ways to do it. I made a video on that, on the 3 main methods of doing a skull mount, and kind of touched on those a little bit. But this is what works for us and our system. So hope this helps y'all. Like I said, leave us a comment. Have you watched our videos? Have they helped? Did you just find us? And then leave questions. You know, anything, we'll try to answer anything we can. We're really busy this time of year, but we'll do our best to answer it. We appreciate y'all watching. We appreciate the support. Thank y'all very much, and we'll see y'all again.